I'm glad that you wanted me to say a little bit of that because I'm going to be speaking. I go and speak many places, but I'll be speaking at Monroe Prison in Seattle, Washington on the 16th. And I know that they're tuning in now, so I wanted to kind of share a backstory.
Yes.
Because a lot of times what happens is when people see you on TV, they see the finished product.
Yeah, yeah.
But they don't see the backstory. See, but the backstory is the most important part. You see?
Yep.
So I don't want them to be seduced by them seeing me on TV without understanding the backstory.
Gotcha.
Because the backstory is what got me here. You see?
Oh, yeah.
So when you are in a compromising situation like prison, most people make many promises to God. Me too. Made a whole bunch of promises. You know?
Yeah.
And God, if you just get me out this situation,
Yeah.
if you just move on the judge's heart, if you could just have that sentence reduced, God, boy, I'll be like Paul. I'll be like David. I mean, boy, you make many promises, you know, because you're in a compromising situation. And God understands that. And I made those promises. And God moved for me to get out of prison. But therein lies the story, because that's when the real work starts. Because, see, when you're in prison, you don't have the same type of temptations that the world offers you. So it's one thing making those promises in prison, but it's another thing keeping them on the streets.
Woo, you preaching now.
You see?
Yes, absolutely.
So before I went to prison, I had mansions and cars and women and jury and all of that. Now, the feds took all of that away from me. Now I'm back on the streets. I don't have no home, no money, no cars, no none of that. So I have my wife, and I go to my grandmother's house. And that's kind of difficult after living in some mansions. Now, this is the backstory that people don't like talking about. Because, see, people like to look pristine. They don't want you to know that you've been in some dirt.
Yeah.
But, see, I had to be in some dirt a little while and wallow in it a little bit so I can remember who I am and who he is. You see?
Oh, yeah.
So I had to go over to my grandmother's house, and after having a millionaire's lifestyle in the streets when I was hustling, I had to want $5 and $10 sometimes. You know, and I always explain to people, I say to them, I say, you know, there's a lot of people that's in that kind of situation where they have financial issues, but they can't get out. But you was talking to a man that had the ability to get out of that situation. I knew how to do it. I could go right back on them streets and go make it happen. See, that's the real test of character right there. Because I had to be in need and want, knowing I could fix it and not. Because that promise I told to God when I was in prison. You understand?
Oh, absolutely.
So
that is a totally different temptation.
it's a whole
To
different
know
thing.
that if you only just give in
Listen.
to that old thing, go back to that old man,
Yes.
you could be set up
Right
in another
there.
mansion
Right then.
and then say no because of your belief in God,
Because of the promise
because of the promise.
that I made him. See, because he kept his promise first.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Oh, yeah.
He kept his promise first. So it was time for me to keep mine second. You understand? So now this is what happened.
Okay.
I had to be in a situation where, and this is how the devil, and I need to tell this to those men out there in prison so that they won't be seduced by them seeing me on TV as if there was no struggle. There was a great struggle. So I had to be in a situation where I couldn't do for my wife like other people could do for theirs. I couldn't do for my kids like I used to do for them before when I was hustling. So the devil will talk to you and tell you, boy, you ain't no good father. You can't even take care of your kids the way you used to take care of them. You can't even provide for your wife the way that you could have before. See, and you got to stick and take the humiliation of that. You don't even have no car, and you got your friends out there rolling in Rolls Royces and everything, and you know you 10 times sharper than them. Why don't you go get you some money? Can't nobody be me. You trying to take care of your family. See, I had to take that because God through my testimony, I needed to be able to speak to those youngsters with passion and let them know that it's doable. You see? When they hear me speak, they need to understand that I went through it first already. Because they know I was on those streets. They seen me in that movie, American Pimp. They know I was the real deal. I wasn't playing around then. So I had to have the same commitment, the same passion for what I was doing with Jesus like I did for the devil.
Come on.
Yeah. And this is what makes the man right here, is when you can say, God, I understand that I am in a compromising situation. It hurts me that I can't do for my children the way I used to. It pains me that I cannot do for my wife the way I used to. But not even that could cause me to turn around on you right now.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord.
Not even that.
Yes. Yes, you needed that.
Now that's the character that propels you to the new you. You got to have a foundation of something that you know you conquered. You got to have that to carry with you for those next challenges. You see? So when you see me here today, understand that it came with great sacrifice and great commitments, because I had to, see, even, you're going to go through those fork in the roads. See, they need to hear this, the real part of it. I went through those fork in the roads where I was, well, do I want to? Well, maybe I should. Well, maybe I shouldn't. See, you got to wrestle with that. It's okay for you to go through that. You don't want to teach nobody that you ain't going to go through nothing. See, that's the worst thing you could tell somebody, is when you accept Jesus, everything is just great. See, that's the wrong way of thinking.
That's right.
You tell them ahead of time. You say, now listen, before you become a Christian, let me explain to you what is required for you to be one. Because if you're not willing to give what is required, you might as well keep doing what you're doing. You see? And those youngsters appreciate that. See, they appreciate me saying to them, listen, don't come over here fooling around. You think you a man out there? Well, you ain't got to stand up against nothing. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's like, if the devil got you, you don't got to stand up against something. He's not really worried about you.
He ain't worried about you. He ain't going to fight with you.
But if you want to be a real man, come up over here. Come up over here. And stand up for something. Come up over here. You know? So, see, the story is compelling because God is able to keep me through that and can keep them through that also. See, that's what they need to hear.
Yes.
So don't be persuaded by me being on TV and you seeing the finished product. I want you to understand the backstory got me here. When nobody saw me, when I had to be out there by myself making the decisions when nobody else could see. You see what I'm saying? In the privacy of my own life. That's where you have to make the decision, because that's who you really are. You are who you are in the privacy of your own life. You see?
Yeah.
Okay.